Okay, 2 slides to go. So let's talk about webinar best practices. So the first thing I want to remind you of is that, as we talked earlier, Mother Nature is more powerful than the cloud. So if you have a cloud, or if you have a webinar scheduled and you know that some of your participants might be in areas where the weather's bad, consider rescheduling your webinar, or just proceed and keep in mind that those folks who are in areas with bad weather might get interrupted and drop off. But in general, you want to start your webinar early, 10 to 15 minutes early, so that those people who are joining for the first time get a chance to come in and just make sure everything is working properly. Always schedule longer than you actually need, and that way if your webinar does run a little long, then you'll be okay. You don't have to worry about the webinar environment shutting down on you. For attendees, I always recommend that you leave your webinar window minimized so that you can get to your desktop environment. One of the reasons you want to get to the desktop, for example, is if someone else is trying to chat with you, and if they're trying to chat with you, that flashing M icon will actually pop up right on the desktop. You won't see it if you have your window maximized. Consider offering playback capability. If you have people who want to hear the webinar but are not currently present, keep in mind that the record capability in Mycogo, which we actually have not talked about, I'll show it to you. It actually is the round button that comes up. This guy right here is record. That only records the video portion of the presentation. It does not record the audio. So if you want to do a playback with true video plus audio, use another tool. I'm actually currently using a tool called Debut Video Capture Software, which is capturing the video, and then it's also capturing the audio, and I'm actually talking into a microphone on my end. Practice, practice, practice. So long before your webinar starts, practice the presentation, practice using the tools, and make sure you're comfortable with everything before you get started. As you're using the product, remember the difference between the viewer, HTML viewer, versus installing the program. The viewer is useful if you're on a device or a desktop environment where you can't install and you just want to use a browser to view the presenter's desktop. Then the HTML viewer option will allow you to do that. So the other thing is, understand that the conditions in which you're going to get the best quality connection, and that is if everyone is connecting via a phone or a cell, and a cell if they're in a metropolitan area where they have a strong signal. Also have a desktop or laptop where the tools will work properly, and then finally a high-speed connection. Those are the 3 elements that you need to get the best quality connection. Now some people will say, well, I want to do it on my iPhone, or they may be on their cell out in their property out in the country. Well, out in the country you don't have a real high quality cell phone signal, so that person may drop in and out. And then I've also seen cases where people on devices, the display environment might look different on their device, or they have to scroll around a lot, and the net result is that they just can't appreciate the presentation as well as people who are on a desktop or laptop. So have these 3 elements handy if you want to get the absolute best quality. The other advice that I would give is make sure you understand your audience. So a typical disaster scenario for a presentation is if you have someone with a low speed or varying speed connection, plus if they're using voice through computer. They're going to have a very poor quality connection, and it may affect that person, and it may annoy other people on the conference. So if you know in advance that someone's going to have a varying speed connection, or they're using Skype and have voice through computer audio, then plan for that and be prepared for if that person's connection is bad. Actually just ask them to disconnect, or be understanding as they come in and out of the presentation. But other things to understand about your audience is know if there's any device users and if there's any specific things about that device that affect the quality and performance of the session. Know if there are people who are new to this and may not be as comfortable with computers. They may need extra setup time. They may also need extra assistance or instruction through during the webinar session. And finally, understand if your users are Mac or Windows users. So if you have to provide instructions on how to do things on their computer, then how you do things on a Mac might be different than how you do it on Windows. And then finally, don't hesitate to seek help if you need it. So for example, a lot of people will say to me, "Hey Ed, you know how to use this tool. Can you participate in my first webinar and run the environment and make sure everything goes well?" Some people have even said to me, "Man, you have a great voice. Can you just go ahead and learn my slides and be the voice that's talking via my webinar?" So you can use me, but then there's a variety of other people out there who are professional presenters and who are skilled at doing webinars who can be of assistance to you.